Good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the Sports for Dummies podcast, the podcast for you, whether you know absolutely everything about the world of sports or absolutely nothing. This is the podcast here where we chat about the biggest stories of the week. And today, we've got an exclusive episode because we're interviewing the co-owner of the 92 Bible, one of the biggest EFL football pages and Premier League football pages, that is, on Instagram. And we're talking to a man called Oli Whitehouse. Oli, how's it going?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me on the podcast today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Hope, do you want to kickstart things for us?
Oh, go on then. Right, I'm the sports dummy here, so I may get some things wrong. But looking at your page, you are, or your pages, a 3 times award-winning Premier League, Championship, League One and League Two content page. How did you come about being award-winning? How does that work?
Each year there's an award show for the Football Content Awards. And so Jay, who obviously unfortunately can't be here today, started the page during lockdown. And because obviously everyone had their own little side hustles during lockdown, and it tended to be the case that, obviously he's incredibly involved in football. He's a Crawley supporter. And I think what he was trying to do was try and gauge a lot of involvement for the sort of smaller teams, be it League Two, League One, not just the Premier League and Championship, because Championship's an incredibly competitive league and Premier League is just, the best league in the world. But yeah, I think just his passion for trying to grow these, the involvement with the younger teams is what got this page to be so big.
I can't believe it only started in lockdown, hearing that. The amount of followers. Yeah.
Me myself, I got brought on last year. Because it all sort of came about from I was trying to get my football team sponsored, and it ended up being this massive thing. And now I'm a co-owner of it, and I'm doing all this stuff like going to Shoreditch and like planning events and stuff. It's crazy, and it's literally just come from trying to get this team sponsored again. Like looking out for the smaller teams. Like for example, my team's literally a campus league team in Bournemouth, which is just a really niche thing. But yeah.
Wow. So to kind of jump back a little bit then, before the 92, Jay founds the 72 Bible in May 2018. And like you've said, so being a Crawley supporter, I guess that gives some context as to why that was set up. Where did that idea stem from though? Because I'm sure something that we can discuss in a minute, but obviously football is a very saturated market. And we're talking about Instagram, which is one of the most heavily used social media channels in the world. And, you can click on virtually anything, type in football on any search, type in football, and you will have 25 gazillion pop-ups come on of different accounts and pages that post things. So what was the idea behind the 72 and then the 92 to make it so unique?
If you look at Instagram now, I actually don't think there are a massive amount of accounts that just follow specifically the English football leagues on their own. If you look at, I know obviously there'll be a lot of people will try and make these big accounts and whatever, but I think Jay's passion for these top 4 football leagues and, the National League, everything like that, he just wanted something unique. I mean, he's managed to tap into a really good audience. Everyone on the page is fantastic. But I just think it's sort of his drive for, trying to engage these really great people is what's made this account so great over time.
So, Oli, what's your background then? You said you got brought in last year to help him out. Why you? And obviously you also mentioned your own football team, which we'll speak about in more detail in a moment.
Yeah, this is a really random thing, right? So last year, my team's called AFC Boots, and we play in the Bournemouth Campus League on a Wednesday. It's literally like a Wednesday team, like a really, really random thing. We were looking for sponsorships for next year. Our social media guy, he's called Cam. He was sorting it all out and everything. He was putting these ads up. We put it on the Boots Instagram page, and I reposted it on my Instagram, as one does. And really randomly, for some reason, Jay was following me on his personal account, like for literally no reason whatsoever. I wasn't even following him back, which is kind of embarrassing, like with hindsight, it's a massive thing. But so he messaged me from the 92 Bible account after seeing that, being like, "Oh, we could do," and at the time, I was I follow a lot of football accounts, but his was actually one that I wasn't following. So he
It just gets worse.
This is what I
weren't following
mean.
it, weren't following the account.
Dreadful origin story. But when it yeah, so he messaged the Boots account going, "Oh, we could do," and me being me, sort of just trying to sort of gauge an involvement with someone. I was like, "Oh, yeah, we definitely could do though," without looking at his account. And then I looked at his account. I was like, "Oh, this man actually has 130,000 followers." I was like, "Oh, okay, this is like, oh, this is actually quite big." And at the time, I was literally just watching Netflix downstairs. I was watching like the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series that had come out around the time. It was in like October, November. And he was at the gym at like 2 a.m. He said, "You realise I've literally just got her and chatted to you for like an hour about this." Like, it was just such a random thing. But like a lot of the people that I've talked to since then have been like, "Well, clearly everything happens for a reason." Because again, he was following me. I wasn't even following him back. It was just like one of his mates was in Bournemouth, and I think Jay was looking at going to Bournemouth, but decided not to at the last minute for some reason. But yeah, so I mean that's how that came about.
Well, he must have seen something in you and thought, right, if I bring him on, he can be the final kind of piece of the puzzle and help us grow and develop.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. So obviously we've talked since then, and I think me and him both share like a similar sort of passion to want to grow this page over time. What got us involved in the first place was because I think we were trying to diversify his content on the page a lot, or trying to grow it even. So, for example, a couple of months ago, we went to Shoreditch to interview a bunch of esports players. You know, like Stevie White that does Happy Hour.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So I
Lewis would know.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So for example, I interviewed Stevie White, which was really great. But yeah, so it's like a really like it's just sort of come out of nothing again. But like we're trying to get this sort of really unique content from uni football because I think there aren't actually many accounts that like show the university football side of things because I think it's quite relatable to see because obviously a lot of his followers are uni students. I think a lot of people would actually like to see what it's like for people that play football, go to uni, and all of the social side of it as well.
I'm intrigued as well, Ollie, because obviously your team on paper, it's obviously really hard to gauge how many people work for the 92 because it's an Instagram page and there could be like 500 of you that are doing little bits and bobs and you have researchers, people that post, people that edit. How big is the team and what does the structure look like on a day-to-day basis? Because obviously you guys post content it feels like 24/7. Every time I go on Instagram, there is a 90 and I'm like, oh, exciting. And it's obviously always good to read. So how do you guys stay on top of the news all the time?
In terms of how many people we have on the account, as far as I know, it's me and Jay. Literally me and Jay, which is, you know, great. It's quite streamlined at the moment, which is I think a good way to do it. But so at the moment, in terms of like the posts and everything, Jay is very on top of the content. He's in terms of the Instagram posts. Literally, it's been a case of I'm watching a game on Sky downstairs, and Jay's already posted the full-time result and almost ruined the full-time result for me because for some reason my stream's behind and he's just sat there at his laptop. But yeah, no. So Jay is literally again like one of the most involved people with football that like I've ever met. He is so on top of everything. But yeah, he is literally sat there at his laptop or he's in the library because he's handed in a uni report late or something like that. So he's got like two different sides of the pendulum a little bit. But I think, yeah, so Jay again, very much Instagram posts. Me, I'm trying to sort the events out, go to these events and sort of just have fun at them really and just get some sort of content for YouTube and for TikTok and everything like that. So I think we're working on two different platforms at the moment, which actually is working really well.
You've obviously established yourselves with a USP that is football, but have you had a conversation about expanding into other sports?
Well, I mean, very recently we've had a talk with a gym brand. We were trying to do some sort of weightlifting stuff and a bit more athletics and cardio stuff. But again, that was very much related to the football in the sense that all of our blokes are really unfit and have been sat there on their placement here drinking beer. So yeah, I think I would definitely look at, well, not so much the 92, but like, I think I've always been very interested in sort of weightlifting and powerlifting. So that's quite an interesting medium. I have a mate that runs a bodybuilding, well, I said bodybuilding account, like a rising lifters account. And that's gone really well as well. And he's also from Harpenden, funnily enough. So there's that.
It's all happening at Harpenden.
I say flipping heck, social media entrepreneurs. That's what Harpenden's made of. Literally, you come out, boom, social media page glowing. It's like, that's unbelievable.
It's a little bubble. It's an incredible little bubble of people, actually.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So obviously last year you won an award for best in social, which I know we mentioned right at the start, but I wanted to ask, do you think there are plans long term to start doing things like interviews for YouTube and actually really like developing a strong YouTube page, or equally Twitter or something else? Have you guys thought about that, or do you think Instagram really is the way forward for your page?
Absolutely. I think we're always looking to sort of diversify what we're doing. We also do have a Twitter page, but I think that's the followership on that is, well, the following on that is quite a bit less than what there is on the Instagram at the moment. I think the whole reason that Jay was sort of looking at bringing me on, for example, because again, he was happy doing it by himself. Like, he didn't need to involve me. I'm, again, really happy that he did. Is that I think he is trying to diversify a little bit in terms of the media, that, well, the content they're putting out, but obviously you want to make sure that it's right for everyone that's going out to, because what's great about the 92 Bible content now is it's easy, it's digestible, it's literally on your feed as you're scrolling down. But we are, so the reason that Jay has sort of brought me on in the context of the football team is because we want to try and get these videos out weekly, these football videos, which are hopefully going to get people a bit more insight into, well, I think he'd quite like, as the 92 Bible account, to sort of have these people that people are meeting over the season, trying to engage with them and sort of see if they're relatable. I can personally vouch for my lot, saying they are quite nice people. Well, I mean, when a camera's on, when it's turned off, they can sort of, blend in and out. But yeah, I think definitely looking to try and sort of move over to the YouTube stuff at some point as well, and hopefully give that a lot of time.
You've used the word diversify. You're obviously building something that's going to go beyond what it currently is. But you're quite a young man yourself, 23, if I'm right. Yeah?
I'm 21. I'm
21? Whoa,
younger.
okay. Yeah. Oh, do you know where I've got that from? On your Instagram, your highlights, 22, 23. They're obviously the year.
Okay,
and I thought, he must be 23. So now I'm feeling even older. Thanks for that, Ollie. So you're 21. Right. So you've achieved a hell of a lot for someone your age. So what's your proudest achievement today?
Honestly, if we're looking at achievements, I would literally just say being part of this page. It's like because it's such a growing thing. And I think personally, as an achievement, this is only going to become a bit, like, I can only see it becoming better. Every time I speak to Jay, because Jay he's quite late, to be fair, but he's turning 21 in August. So again, we've got quite a young team doing this.
Lewis normally makes me feel old. Today,
wow,
I need to get my Zimmer frame out.
I'm so sorry.
Something else I wanted to ask you as well is, do you take inspiration from other pages? I mean, there's one that I know about called The Bread Batch, which focuses more on kind of the boxing scene and UFC sort of thing. Do you look at other pages and think, right, they're doing that well, let's adopt that on ours? Because something that I noticed about your page in particular is the layout. I mean, you've got like a black color scheme. It's very nice on the eyes. That obviously took some kind of thought behind it. You wouldn't have just randomly done that.
Yeah, I think we definitely take inspiration from other pages for sure, especially with even with the wordplay of the post, because I'm sort of asking Jay, sort of, where did you think of this? Like, it's unbelievably sort of like a dad joke kind of thing, which is quite easy to resonate with. I myself, being quite criminal in terms of with dad jokes in the house, it's literally just a case of people walking out of the room because it's like so bad. But definitely take inspiration from other pages, especially I think Sport Bible, half the name, for example. I think there's always inspiration to take from different places, and I think it'd be silly not to, because there are so many great pages out on Instagram at the moment that there should always be opportunities to sort of take ideas from different things and just make your stuff better.
And I'm intrigued, Ollie, because obviously quite a few people know about, say, revenue streams with TikTok and with YouTube. How does revenue work with Instagram? Is it about the amount of likes you get per post? Is it about followers? Is it actually a page that generates revenue? Or is it something simply that is like a hobby that's actually turned into a mass following?
At the moment, I'm going to go with hobby that's turned into a massive following, but I think it's something we're definitely trying to work towards. Yeah, it's very much a case of, at the moment, because we're both uni students, we really do have to prioritize that as well. For example, as I say, I was calling Jay about the Shoreditch, the event down in Shoreditch. He was calling me going, I've just handed in an extension for my last essay. I'm personally in my placement year, but that's going to be me next year. Hopefully not the late bit, but like with the essays and everything. So again, it's a case of, this year I've tried my best to sort of build up to a point where I can sort of do all this work, and Jay, well, I don't need to ask Jay for help, but I think that has gone quite well. Next year, I think Jay is very much going to be on it because, it's, just a great page. So I don't see why we wouldn't put all the work we can into it.
That's a juggle, the university juggle Lewis knows all too well. How has your university kind of experience and maybe the degree that you're doing, how has that supported you with your career and what you want to do? And what do you want to do?
So to be fair, I'm a big fan of social media management. So it's and it's something that I really want to do. I do media production at uni personally. But yeah, so we had the first year where it was very much a case of, I didn't go into uni once in first year because of the lockdown. It was not because I'm lazy, because I was going to
say, you didn't go at all? What a waste of money. You wasn't allowed. That's fine.
No, wasn't allowed, which was rubbish, if I'm honest, because we, again, a media production course, we needed to be filming and everything. We needed to book stuff out from the uni. So it was very much a case of me doing it from my phone, which didn't come out as well as I would have liked. But yeah, and honestly, I think the first year really sort of impacted the second year as well, because I was in such a habit of waking up, literally being in bed with my laptop on, and like having people going, "Oh, can everyone turn their cameras on, please?" And me just putting in the group chat, "My camera's broken, sorry." And then sort of watching it for the hour, and then that'd be my day. That'd literally be the only thing I do in the day. But in the second year, it was more of a case of, well, I've got to get up sort of an hour early. I've got to make sure I've showered and had breakfast and everything. That I've got to walk to uni, and I just wasn't in that habit. And to be fair, I did do it. It was very difficult, but I think there was a bit of catching up as well, because we didn't have the whole sort of personal interactive support from the lecturers. But yeah, no, social media management, basically, go back to that. Because again, the course has covered quite a wide range of things. This is the thing that has sort of most resonated with me, and the thing that I'd like to go into.
So obviously with Jay, you guys are working together. You didn't know each other before you guys have started working together now. How has that relationship changed?
I think what we both say about each other is we can be really difficult to get a hold of, which is but not from like a sense of, oh, like I'm off doing whatever, this, that, and the other. It's just, unfortunately, that we tend to have our phones on Do Not Disturb like a lot of the time. So the best way to get in touch with each other is literally calling. And if we're going to have a conversation, it's realistically at about 2 a.m, because he's in the gym, and I've just finished playing foot champs or something. So it's but yeah, no, we do, again, if it's a very urgent thing, we would call each other. It's because that always seems to work. But it's always a case of, I call him and he's going, "What's up?" in the library. But yeah, so I mean, it's definitely a lot more. Well, I mean, when we first got introduced to each other through the random channels that we did, it was very sort of a casual conversation, but we're definitely mates now because of it. So, for example, I signed up for a boxing event, which now I've had to push to December, because 3 weeks before I'm going to Napa, so it doesn't seem like a great idea.
That was wise.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like all of my mates have gone, yeah, no, Ollie, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just don't drink as much. And then when I've changed it, they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, so say for example, I signed up for that, and yeah, so Jay has just literally just sent me this picture of like one of the smallest people that he's ever seen. He's just stuck my head on the top of it because I'm what he's described as vertically challenged a lot of the time. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more friendly, and like it's very easy to work with him as a result of it.
That's brilliant to hear. I mean, you've spoke about different challenges throughout this interview in terms of building this platform, one of which being the communication there. But what's been the hardest thing and the biggest learning curve that you've experienced since joining Jay on this mission?
I'd say it's much more of a personal thing. I think with a lot of my mates, with the football side of things, because this is such a big thing, I think a lot of them are kind of afraid of the general changes that are going to go on, because the first 2 years that we've done the football stuff, it's a case of it's very much been like we've been sort of tight knit together like that. And it's literally just been playing football. Like it was the thing that got everyone back together in first year after the lockdown, because that we, again, didn't really have the opportunity to make many mates. And then second year, we've all played together the entire year. And that was just an incredible year getting to know everyone. And now we've got like 20 mates off the back of it, which is great. But I think now, so it's sort of progressed from played about 2 months of football in first year, had the whole year together in second year, and that was great. And now I think it's sort of the stepping stone. And again, next year is going to be massive. And I think the biggest difficulty that I've had is I think a lot of people are afraid of change. And I think with that, it's caused a bit of unrest literally on like a more personal thing of like, how many minutes am I going to play? Can we do this? Can we do that? And so I guess the learning experiences from it have really been just sort of dealing with that, and like on a more personal level, dealing with people on a more personal level. Because again, that it's not like there hasn't been issues that have come with it, but again, it's a great opportunity, and I think it'd be, doing these two things together is fantastic.
I suppose you feel a pressure, but you kind of, because you're directly involved, you understand it, whereas they don't. So you're having to kind of manage their pressure as well. Yeah,
exactly. And I sort of wish that there was almost a way of me relaying every single thing that had come back through as it happens, but that's not the case, which is, again, is a shame. But I think the best sort of thing I can do for them at the moment is just sort of tell them all the important stuff, make sure that they're all happy. Like, for example, I did a survey a couple of weeks ago to see sort of how we could improve, literally all the logistics for the next season. So, yeah, I really hope they do have, I hope they know that I have their best interests at heart. But I think sometimes it seems like, especially because this was such a random thing and it's come out at such a random time where everyone's on their placements, I could see why they would be worried, but I really don't think they should be.
And so by the sound, you're studying in Bournemouth. Was your placement also in Bournemouth, or was that somewhere else?
My placement is in Bournemouth, so I'm very much saying this from my bedroom right now. So I had a bit of an issue with the placement in the first place, because I was meant to be doing a year-long placement. Found out I didn't get the job at the last minute, which again, sort of, I was at work at the time, and so that threw me off quite a bit. So this year I've been doing 2 jobs that honestly haven't related to my course, but I'm able to do the summer placement, which funnily enough will be at the 92 Bible. So because it's a social media management thing, and I can do the 6-week option, which is honestly, so it's all come full circle, and it's actually turned out really well.
I was just going to ask you, Ollie, because me and Lewis are hardcore Liverpool supporters, even though we're both not from Liverpool. Who do you support?
That's wrong, actually. This is the thing, is we got me say she says this like we haven't worked together for 2 years, and the irony is that all of my dad's family are from Liverpool. This is why Hope's good. This is why Hope's brilliant, because there's things like this where she'll go, Nina's from Liverpool, and it's like, no, Hope, that's just you.
Wait a minute, I know your dad's side of Liverpool and your mum's side is Australian. I do listen, but it's not about you. Ollie,
Brilliant.
Go on, give us your team.
I sort of wish you hadn't asked, because it's been one of our worst seasons that we've had in so long. If you've sort of got any guesses, I'm a Chelsea supporter, so it's again, I've sort of buried my head in my hands a little bit because it's just been so bad. From like every last detail, I couldn't even pinpoint one thing that's just made it rubbish. But honestly,
your face tells the story. You look defeated
Yeah.
as you're talking about them.
Yeah, genuinely, it's going to set me off, and the rest of the day, and I'll just be walking around like this. It's
miserable.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually ever been happier for a season of football to finish. If I'm quite honest, I think because every week it's. I even had a bet with my mate who supports Crystal Palace about who would finish higher in the table, which I think at that point, you're having a bad season when I think compared to the level of Crystal Palace. But so it's been a rough year.
And,
there's always next year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to hope it'll be. Well, I think it's kind of difficult to get worse next year, right? I think it should sort of improve from here. We've got a couple of decent signings coming in already. So, in Kunku, for example. So I think that'll be I think it's looking up.
I was going to say, Ollie, to kind of wrap things up, because, you've spoken a lot about the future of the 92 Bible and what that looks like. So we don't need to ask about the future. But one thing that I wanted to ask, because I find it very interesting, because you've said, obviously, that Jay focuses on lots of teams and, he gets his, news information, you post about anybody. Have you ever had complaints from certain fan bases talking about who you support, that their team isn't posted about enough? And two, do you have like an Excel spreadsheet where you go, right, that's Plymouth ticked off for the season, that's Hull, how do you make sure that you post about every single club? Because 92 teams, and that's a lot of content to post and news to keep up on all the time.
Well, I finally just clocked why it's called 92, by the way.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Welcome to Sports for Dummies. Sports for Dummies.
I was like, someone's got a lucky number.
It's definitely Jay's lucky number. I think it might end up being mine at some point as well. But I know we get a lot of stick from Everton fans because I can tell you that much, because without saying too much, I think Jay is I think he really does not like Everton. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but you'll see all the comments like, "Oh, I'm into Liverpool supporter. I'm into Liverpool supporter," which is quite funny. And honestly, I'm quite happy that, if I'm honest, I'm not the one making the post, because again, being a Chelsea fan on back of a rubbish season, I'd just be so depleted making every single post. Like, oh, this team won. Oh, look, Chelsea got battered again. It's just one of those things that I think, I think the dynamic between me and Jay works really well. Him dealing the much more physical stuff and me trying to plan out these events on the side as well. But yeah, no, Jay does get a lot of stick from. I think it's very clear which team he supports on the back of, say, for example, I think every team sort of posted about fairly, but I also think it's very clear which teams he likes and doesn't like.
Well, Ollie, we're very pleased that you and Jay work very well together and you're building something fantastic. Fingers crossed we get invited to one of these events. I'm putting it out there. Yeah. We will come if we're invited.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you very much for your time today. And thank you to you for listening or watching this at home. This has obviously been a very special episode with one of the co-owners of the 92 Bible. So go give them a follow if you're not already, though I'm sure that you already are. And thank you for listening and watching this episode. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.